So we are in the countryside, to say the least, and we are going to see and meet one of the more anonymous but still very famous and very good blacksmiths. So Kiryu-san is going to show us his workshop. So this is our screen for the JKC Tamahagane VG10.
Now, the color will no longer be red. It will be black like everything else, so that it's easier for them not to print two colors, but to print one color. So the steel arrives prefabricated, so it's already pre-pressed by the steel supplier to the thickness, just before the thickness that we need. So it avoids the need for extra processes of actually hammering and all that. And so it is a much more economical way of producing a blade of the same quality, if actually not better, because it's more even, the forging. And on the belt and the hammer, he has then, like we saw in the last forge, the process is in another room, which we're not allowed to go in at the moment, is turned into the final shape of the knife. The final shape of the knife then is brought into this room again, and you can see here these are all old grinding machines where they grind the sides of the blade to the thickness from the spine to the edge. So the spine is thick, the edge is obviously very thin and narrow, so you get a triangular grind, which can be done by those machines that we were looking at before. They use these wheels to kind of get it into a bit not so rough. They bring them through.
It looks like a museum with old stuff. It's hard to imagine that it even works.
Yeah, I know.
But somehow it does, and somehow brilliant and perfect blade is shaped, isn't it?
It is one of the best. And you know, this machine here, this is their own heat treatment machine. The only factory, the only workshop I know that is own heat treatment. Unfortunately, it's not on now, but it's actually gas run, and you light a newspaper and you throw it into the back there. He opens that back window, and a big jet of like flame goes out of the back, and the machine starts going around. You hang the blade onto here, and it goes in to the heat. I think he's doing something because there's normally a cover over the top. He heats it up, and by the time it comes out at the other side, at the speed at which they run that rotor, it gives you the perfect temperature to cool down and get the hardness that you require, which in this particular instance is hitting almost 62 rock wool without any scientific or quantified science. We've seen this at many other factories now, where they grind the side of the blade, they polish it on leather and on buffing wheels, and then once they've buffed it and brought it over, they bring it to this machine here, the Pneuma Blaster, and the Pneuma Blaster blasts very fine metal particles together with sand to etch the side of the blade. The iron particles and the steel particles that are there hit the surface a little bit harder, and so the softer lines of the steel go grey because they've been slightly beaten up, and the rest of it goes shiny. Unfortunately, this kind of system we cannot redo in the shop, but what we can do is we can acid etch it so it goes black and silver instead of grey and silver.
Ja, då går jag här i det gröna Japan och det är vårt sista besök. Vi har varit hos Kiryu-san i Sanjo, TSUBAME-regionen. Jag vet inte om ni hör, men i bakgrunden så pålar det en liten flod som går här som inte syns. Men det är vattnet som är högst nödvändigt för att göra bra knivar. Rent vatten och bra kol. Så att Kiryu har sin egen lilla flod där han tar vattnet som går upp här i bergen. På vintrarna är det här tjockfullt med snö. Svårt att tro nu när man står i 33 grader. Men det är en fantastisk plats i världen.